Imagine being called the most beautiful woman in the Russian Empire, marrying the man who would defeat Napoleon, living in palaces filled with gold and diamonds, and still dying of loneliness. This was the tragic life of Elizabeth Alexeievna. Born Princess Louise of Baden in 1779, she was chosen by Catherine the Great to marry her grandson, the future Alexander I of Russia. She was just 14, he was 15, young, beautiful, and seemingly in love. The Russian court celebrated what looked like a fairy tale, but the fairy tale did not last. Alexander became distant. He took mistress after mistress. One affair lasted more than 15 years. Elizabeth was forced to watch his favorite mistress enjoy influence and attention while she stood quietly in the background. By nature, Elizabeth was shy, gentle, and deeply sensitive. She loved music, literature, and art. But her greatest happiness came from her 2 daughters. Then tragedy struck. Her first daughter died as a child. Elizabeth wrote to her mother, "As of this morning, I no longer have a child." Years later, her second daughter died at only 15 months old. The devastated Empress wrote again to her mother, saying, "My soul has no more strength to recover from this last blow." With no surviving children, she felt she had failed in the one role the court expected of her. Desperate for affection, Elizabeth found comfort in a handsome officer named Alexei. Their relationship became one of the great scandals of the Russian court. Then, in 1807, he died suddenly after a mysterious attack. Many believed he had been murdered. Once again, Elizabeth was left alone. In their final years, Elizabeth and Alexander finally reconciled. After decades of pain, they found each other again, but it was too late. When Alexander died in 1825, Elizabeth was shattered. Only months later, she followed him to the grave. The most beautiful woman in Russia lost her children, her lover, her happiness, and finally her life, all while wearing a crown.